Welcome to Gracefully Greying. I am your host, Attorney Henry Gornbein. We live in an aging community, and we are discussing a very important topic on this show, which is choosing the right senior community for your loved one, with our guest, Tracey Proghovnick of Jewish Senior Life. Tracey, welcome to Gracefully Greying.
Thank you, Henry. So nice to be here.
First of all, why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about your background, and I also know you are the recent recipient of the Mandel Berman Award, so tell us a little bit about that as well. Obviously, you've done some wonderful things over the years.
It's been a wonderful 25 years so far in my career. I'm a social worker by training and specializing with older adult services. And I've been with Jewish Senior Life almost all of those 25 years in several different positions. Currently, I'm the Director of Residential Marketing and Community Relations for all of our 6 communities on the 2 campuses. And yes, the Berman Award, it was very special. That was presented in June, and I'm very honored.
Well, obviously well-deserved. Tracey, why don't you tell us when is the right time to start looking for a senior community?
So this won't be a popular answer, but I feel that it's never too early. And here's why. We, as human beings, always want as much control over our life as possible, for as much of our life as possible. And so when you can make informed decisions on any topic in your life, whether it's buying your first home or deciding on a career, retirement communities fall within that topic range as well, because that is such an important part of life. And you want to have community, you want to have safety, you want to have your needs met, and know that your needs can be met as you age and possibly have more needs.
Tracey, what are the first or initial steps in selecting a senior living community?
So for a lot of folks, they focus on a location. Where is their family living, so that there's easy access for visiting. Where are they comfortable living? Maybe they've always lived in Oakland County or Macomb County. Where did they grow up? A lot of Metro Detroiters we know have born and raised and still here well into their 80s and 90s. And then many left us for a few years to go south, and now they're coming back because this is where their children and grandchildren are, and they want to spend those years with them. So location is very important. And then, of course, price point, because with retirement, we have to be very careful about what our income is, what we can spend, and so that we have enough for the other things in our life, such as, our incidentals and our entertainment and such. But really, for me, it's community and level of careability. So if I come into a retirement community independently, but as time goes on, I require more support, and maybe I go into an assisted living, or I need some more support in a memory care community, that I can then transition within that initial retirement community to another level of care. That is the easiest transition I've seen in my years for people to adjust to.
Tracey, who do you normally meet with when someone is considering a particular facility?
More often than not, I'm meeting with adult children or someone who is supporting the older adult. They often come in together and kind of look at our different options, levels of care, locations, price points, because we do offer a range of price points from HUD housing that's based on income all the way to market rent. And so we really try to kind of drill down on what that person's profile is, what their needs are, what their affordability is. And it's really helpful when they have an advocate with them to make sure that there's another set of eyes and ears listening in, just like you would at any age. If you go to the doctor and you're trying to understand what they're saying, you really just want to have a really good informed conversation. And often it's several times of visiting and on the phone.
Tracey, you brought up a point that I'm interested in. You mentioned price points. What are some of the ranges for our viewers as far as the pricing?
Certainly. So one of the things I mentioned is our affordable housing program through HUD, which is so wonderful. We have over 300 apartments that are subsidized by the government. So if your income is at or under a certain amount, your rent is approximately 30% of your income. So if you receive $1,000 a month for your Social Security, you pay approximately 30% of that for your rent. And then you have the rest of your Social Security amount to use for other incidentals in your life. Then we go to our independent living, which is market rent, which starts at $2,400 a month and can go up to about $4,000 a month, depending on size, how many rooms, location. And then we have assisted living, which starts at about $4,240 a month. It can go higher as care needs increase, as well as memory care. With memory care communities, you're going to see a higher price point because that's where there's higher staffing ratios and different centered care for our folks who are experiencing those disease processes.
Tracey, what are some other criteria that someone should look at in making a selection as to a senior living community or residence?
So what I always say to people is ask about longevity of staff, because you can go into a place that looks like a palace. Brand new communities are being built often, and so they're beautiful, and we can't take that away from them. However, one of the things we pride ourselves in, since being around since 1907, is that we have staff in every department, from environmental services to nursing, to front desk staff, to executive staff, to social workers who have been with us 10, 15, 20, 25, even 30 years. Some of our staff that provide care have been with us for 20 years, which we know that is the hardest job in what we do, is providing the actual care.
So staffing is very important. Would you consider that the most important criteria in selecting a senior community or residence?
I think it's definitely in the top three. Because when we want our families to go home at night and be able to sleep well, and if they know that their loved one is being cared for properly, then I would say maybe I take that back. I think it is number one. I know for me it would be, for my family.
How important is the actual facilities as far as the layout or the physical appearance, for lack of a better word?
Sure. It does play a role, of course. You know, one of the things that we offer in all of our communities at Jewish Senior Life is programming. We have full-time life enrichment coordinators in all of our communities. And so that helps with keeping people active and social. You know, you hear those phrases, if you don't use it, you lose it. And so we really pride ourselves in bringing programming inside the community, and of course, going outside the community and going to events and concerts and restaurants, shopping, of course. But the physical plant of any community is also really another piece of control, of choice. Do you want an apartment with this view? Would you like the first floor? You know, making sure that the people we're working with see their options and make the choice that's best for them for when they move to retirement living.
Tracey, you mentioned pricing, staffing is critical, the actual facilities and programming. What are some other points or considerations that someone should think about in making a selection?
One of the things that I think is really helpful that I've seen here at Jewish Senior Life is that we have social workers in all of our communities. And it's not mandatory in the state of Michigan for our independent living and assisted living. And so we really feel that it's important, as people are going through this transition, that we provide extra support as they age and as things happen with aging. And are there any benefits or entitlements that maybe we can assist them with helping them stay independent? Maybe they want to stay in independent living and have extra care rather than moving to assisted living. How do we work with the families and the resident to obtain those extra services and supports? Maybe clinical support from a social worker, we can provide resources for that too. And so we're talking to our younger generation about asking for help and making sure, people know that therapy is important, but it's also helpful for our older adults. And we definitely see that that's something that people are taking us up on more and more.
Tracey, I'm curious. Take us through a typical day in the life of someone who is living at one of the Jewish senior residences.
Absolutely. So I will I will go with our Mere community because that's where my office is. So I see the goings on day to day. That's one of our independent living communities in West Bloomfield. And about right now, we have one of our exercise teachers. She does a light weight class in our union, our Hilda Fort Gang union. And her name is Michelle. So she'll do a half-hour weight class. And then we will have a discussion group probably at 11:30, current events about what's going on in the world. We'll have another speaker. Some are volunteers, some are paid speakers. Then our cafe opens at 11:30, the Corolla Cafe. So people will go and have lunch and schmooze, and you'll see some Maj games going on, some canasta, some grandchildren visiting. And then we'll go into an afternoon movie. Perhaps today we might be going to Johnny Pomodoro's or Meyer also on our bus with Bob, our driver. And then when we get back around 3, we'll have another class in the union. We also, during the school year, have our friends from the Frankel Jewish Academy come and help in our computer lab, help our residents learn computer skills. And then at 4:30, we start to mingle in the main areas, common areas, to get ready for dinner. So around 4 o'clock, you see things really busy. And after dinner, we have several areas where there's beautiful fireplaces to have fireside chats on both sides of our community at Mere, and more card games. We have a coffee house here 24/7, so residents can coffee of their choice, hot cocoa, tea, any time of the day. It's their home to come and go as they please. And we know they feel that way. They feel community, they feel loved, and they feel safe.
These are important criteria. Tracey, what are some of the key phrases that you tell people when you're talking to them about, considering moving into a senior living community?
One thing is so important to just keep saying over and over is don't wait until there's a crisis. Sometimes we can get to a mini crisis, and so we can stop there and then make some big decisions with moving. But if you wait until there's a crisis, then often someone else is part of the decision-making process, and maybe they're not making the decisions you'd want them to. Maybe you've appointed them to make decisions for you, but when it comes to where we are at in life, maybe those aren't the decisions you would have made. And so have everything written out, have all your affairs in order from a very young age to make sure that your wishes are always met and that you can perhaps live well in retirement living for as long as possible and as safe as possible.
Tracey, what are the average ages?
So you do have to be 62 to live in our independent living communities. In our HUD subsidized communities, we do have some residents who are 18 and older who require the amenities of a barrier-free unit. And so that's a stipulation that HUD allows us to support. A small amount of apartments are set aside for those folks. At Fleischman residents, our assisted living and memory care in West Bloomfield, it's actually 55 and older.
And so it ranges anywhere from 55 on up to probably some who are reaching the 100-year mark, I'm sure.
That's right. We just celebrated one of our residents at Fleischman, I believe this year she's 108.
Wow.
She's been on the news many times, and we've celebrated her and many of our residents who are 95 and older, over 100. It's so true that age is just a number. Because when you're not well or you need support, it really doesn't matter what age you are, because this way we help keep you where you want to be. So
true. How can someone contact you? What's the way to reach you?
Oh, absolutely. So they can call me on my direct dial, which is 248-592-5048. Our website is JSL mi.org, and you can find me there, or any of our wonderful staff can direct you to me, and be happy to take you around on a tour. We have virtual tours on our website of all of our communities as well.
Sounds great. Tracey, are there some final thoughts that you would like to share with us before we sign off?
I would say that, getting older, although it's not easy, no one ever said it was, it really is a gift. This is a time for people who are retired to spend time with their family. The times they were working and busy and running around, they really can spend quality time with their children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. There's still volunteer opportunities in many places around our area, including Jewish Senior Life. We have boutiques and cafes and other opportunities for our residents to volunteer, because purpose is so important to keep as we age. And we want to continue to foster that with our residents here at Jewish Senior Life.
Tracey Proghovnick, I want to thank you so much for being our guest on Gracefully Greying. I want to thank our sponsors who make Gracefully Greying and these important shows possible. And I also want to thank our viewers for watching and tuning in to Gracefully Greying. Thank you again, Tracey.
Thank you, Henry.